love football. Lots of ladies love football. I get questions all the time about the game of football from other ladies, so each week I'll take some of your common questions that I've received and we'll talk about them. We'll keep this to no more than 4 minutes. Trust me, football isn't as complicated as some try to make it seem, and in no time you'll be explaining the game to other ladies. So let's jump right in. I'm Dion, and welcome to the Female Football 4-Minute Tackle. First things first, let's talk about positions on offense and positions on defense. There are always 22 players on the field, at least they're supposed to be, 11 on offense and 11 on defense. First up, let's talk about offense. The main guy on offense is your quarterback. He's the leader. He's the guy calling the plays. He's also handing the ball to the running back or throwing it to the wide receiver or tight end. The quarterback gets the ball from the center. The center's job is to work with the offensive guards and offensive tackles to let no man, and I mean not one, get to his quarterback. Next to the center are 2 guards, 1 on each side of the center. Then come the tackles, 1 on each side of the guards. Just outside of the offensive line are the tight ends. The tight ends are special because they have 2 duties. He can either block the guy in front of him or he can catch the ball. His job of blocking or catching the ball will depend on the play the coach called. There are usually 1 or 2 tight ends on the field. Then there are wide receivers. The wide receiver's job is to run a pattern called a route. At the end of the route, he needs to be exactly where the quarterback expects him to be so he's in position to catch the ball. There's usually 2 wide receivers on the field, but sometimes there are more. If the quarterback is not throwing the ball, then he's handing it off to the running back. The running back tries to find assigned spaces or holes in the offensive line and tries to break right through the defense to get to the end zone. Now let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Depending on the defensive scheme or plan, there are usually 3 or 4 defensive linemen on the field. Their job is to get as close as possible to the quarterback. In fact, they want to bust right through that offensive line and get right in the face of the quarterback. If they're lucky or good, they'll get a hold of him and take him down to the ground and sack him. The guys in the middle of the defensive line are defensive tackles, and the guys on the end of the line are simply called defensive ends. Behind the defensive line are 3 or 4 guys called linebackers. I like to call them the cleanup men. Their job is to stop anything that made it past the defensive line. If the running back gets past the defensive line, the linebackers are there to clean up the mess and stop him. The next level of defense are the defensive backs. Sometimes you'll hear them called the secondary. The defensive backs, or DBs, consist of cornerbacks and safeties. The cornerbacks are there to keep up with the wide receiver and keep him from catching the ball. If he's good, he'll catch the ball before the wide receiver for an interception. There are at least 2 cornerbacks on the field, but if there are more wide receivers, then they'll play more cornerbacks. The safeties are there to help the cornerbacks. Sometimes they come closer to the linebackers and help them out. Of course, this will depend on the play that the coach calls. And there you have it. Those are your offensive positions and your defensive football positions. Thank you for checking out the Female Football 4-Minute Tackle. If you have any questions you'd like answered, just tell me. Facebook me, tweet me, or email me.